Welcome, my name is Chelsey. I'm so happy that we found each other here. If you are new to this channel, I'm going to take a quick minute to catch you up to speed with what I'm doing here and why. At this point in my life, I'm doing a lot of reflecting and looking back on my journey. And one of the big things that made a massive difference for me was having someone who walked the steps before me. So moving forward, I decided that that is what I want to be for you. I want to take you through my journey, but not only that, give you tips and insights to tackle yours with a little bit more background information as to what you're getting into, as well as have some extra resources that I think would be really beneficial that I learned along the way that I believe will help you in your fight. I was spending some time trying to figure out a way to accurately describe what this video is going to share about and teach about, and the African proverb came to mind. It takes a village to raise a child. Now you might be like, how does that apply here? And in my case, it took a team to battle cancer. And it really is true. I am typically a person who likes to take things on my own, but it became evident early on in my journey that this was like no other challenge that I had taken on before, and I was going to need a support team to get through this. So in today's video, I will be sharing 5 distinct roles that I found extremely helpful in my journey that allowed me to take a little bit of the weight off of my shoulders so that I could focus on fighting and pass them off to some close family or friends who really wanted to help me anyways. So I hope that this will help give you some clarity on who you might want to enlist to be on your side in your direct support team. Before we move on, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory as to how I realized that I was going to need support in this journey. So after I was diagnosed, they needed to figure out what the best course of treatment was going to be, because it's not the same for everyone. So for me, they were trying to decide if surgery or chemotherapy was going to be the first course of treatment. In order for that to happen, I had to have a meeting with the surgeon because ultimately they make the decision in our area. However, this was a challenge for me because they would not meet with me unless I had a mammography report, which I didn't because my cancer was discovered through an ultrasound guided biopsy. So back I went to see my doctor. She put in a request to get a mammogram, and I didn't hear anything. So I called the booking clerk in a few of the different centers close to our area because we don't actually have a mammography machine in our town. And the booking clerk said the wait time was going to be between 4 and 6 weeks. I even told her that I was just diagnosed with cancer, and she said, even so, we're so backed up, just gonna have to wait for a phone call. As you can imagine, just being diagnosed, a little bit frantic, a lot scared, just trying to get moving on finding out how to start fighting this thing. That was extremely challenging to hear. I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I started picking up the phone and making more and more calls to all of the places that said they had mammography machines 1, 2, 3, 5 hours away. I can tell you, these conversations that I was having were extremely frustrating, and I know it is not the booking clerk's fault for how busy the technicians are and how backlogged everything is, but I just couldn't understand how it was not important to get in there even though I was already diagnosed. I needed to get in, and I just hoped that I would reach somebody that heard me. Many calls later, in a health district about 5 hours away from mine, I reached a woman who heard me. She heard the pain in my voice. She heard my story, and she heard that I needed to get in so that I could start fighting. At first, she said, "I'm so sorry. I can't help you." And we said our goodbyes. Minutes later, my phone rang with an unknown number, and it was the woman that I was just talking to looking for me. She said that she found a spot for me 3 days later. If I could make it, it was mine. That kindness could have saved my life. It could have saved me 6 weeks of who knows what would happen. And I am forever thankful for that woman. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't even started treatment yet, and I was already completely burnt out. I was stressed, I was overwhelmed, I was pulling my hair out, tears were streaming, and I was basically starting from full strength. Prior to the diagnosis, I felt so healthy, so mentally strong, and I knew that if this is just the brink of what treatment is going to be like, what it's going to be like moving forward, I couldn't do it alone. I needed someone, I needed a group of people to help me with things like this so that I could focus on the fight. This is when the creation of my team began. Before we move on today, I would really appreciate it if this video is connecting with you, it's resonating with you, if you would put a thumbs up down there on the video. I also want to put it out to you if you have a question about something you're going through or something that is coming up next in your journey, or if you're struggling or if you want a tip about something, put that in the comments below, and I'm happy to share anything from my experience if I believe it will help you. So always be aware that that's available to you. Without further ado, let's get into the 5 team member roles that made such a difference in my journey, and I believe that it'll help you get through yours as well. So the first one is probably not going to come as much of a surprise, but it is such a primary, wow, I gave it away there. The primary caregiver is a massive, massive support team member that I could not have gotten through this without them. Receiving a cancer diagnosis is very, very terrifying, and getting through treatment is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. The treatment alone physically challenged me, it mentally challenged me. I had to make decisions that I never thought that I would have to make. I questioned myself, and really, I just needed support at all times. I could not be more thankful to have my husband as my primary caregiver. He truly made a massive difference in my journey. He believed in me with all of his heart. He was strong when I needed him to be. He comforted me when I needed him, and he really was there for me throughout the entire thing, to a whole new level of compassion and support that I never expected that I would have to ask him for when we got married. I'm someone who is scared of needles, so he was always there for me during chemo. He was holding my hand when they were trying to find a vein. He was there on the day that I decided it was time to shave my head. He shaved it for me. He told me that I look beautiful with and without hair. He was there when I was a puddle on the floor, distraught and completely losing hope in myself and what I was doing. He was there to pick me up and give me a hug and tell me I was doing great. He looked after our house and our puppy, and he truly was everything that I needed and more, and I am so darn thankful for that man. Having a primary caregiver whatever role that person is in your life. It could be your spouse, it could be your parents, a best friend, an extended family member. It doesn't matter who that person is in your life. It just matters that they are there for you when you need them and there for you when you don't even know that you need them. The primary caregiver is so excellent at providing endless compassion, support, and encouragement in everything that you're doing. So a special thank you to my husband for everything that you are and everything you did for me and for us. Thank you. The second key role I needed in my support team is someone I'm referring to as the confidant. In my experience, a big portion of the treatment plan was decided by the professionals. However, within there were decisions that I needed to make for my health, for my future, and I'm someone who needs to really think through those and work through all the emotions to come up with the best course of action for me. So having someone that I could be 100% honest with and talk through these decisions with was an extremely important team member to have. Now, of course, my husband, my primary caregiver, was one of these people for me. He is 100% one of my confidants, but I did have another one that I was very lucky to have to gain a female perspective as well. By nature, I have a really hard time sharing my struggles with other people because I'm afraid that I'm gonna bring them down, or I'm afraid that I'm going to make my loved ones worry by sharing things that I'm having a hard time with or struggling with. With this member of my team, it was okay if I was drowning in tears, completely overwhelmed with emotion and depression, if I was off my rocker, delirious, just over the decision-making process. But it didn't matter to her. She was there as a support no matter what. And it was really liberating to be able to just be me and not have to worry about how I was acting, how I was responding, what I was sharing. So it felt really good. So if you're like me, having one person or two people that you can be 100% yourself with, completely honest, is such a valuable member to have on your team. A special thank you to my sister for the countless teary-eyed heart-to-hearts and for her endless level-headed feedback. Thank you. The third key role I'd recommend on your support team is someone who's okay with, and maybe even a little excited about, doing a little digging to find all the information needed. This person I'm calling the researcher. A lot of my journey was decided by professionals, which makes sense. However, aside from that, there is a lot of research that can be done if you're someone who likes to know what is going on and why, which is me. So I was very thankful to have a researcher on my team who did some digging to find out different things like what medications gave the best survival rate, of the different surgeons around, which surgeons did what procedures, why was I feeling these different side effects, why did I start with chemo instead of surgery? And the list goes on. There's countless things that you can learn about your cancer diagnosis, the procedures, the journey, the side effects, and it's very helpful to have someone who is good at research, who can understand and interpret the information and pass it on to you. So honestly, I'm not a great researcher. I get really overwhelmed with a lot of different information. So it was really helpful for me to have someone who was good at it and could give me the information in a kind of point form way, because I really did want to know what was going on in my journey. I wanted all the reasons for what was happening, but it was too much for me to handle on my own. And also, I was really thankful because Not having to do those Google searches on my own, it kept me out of that black hole of darkness that can sometimes come from doing a medical Google search, because of course lots of different things come up, and then you start clicking things and things can go awry pretty quickly. So I'm very thankful that I had someone that could do all of that for me, to help keep my mindset in a good space as well moving forward and through treatment. So in my specific case, my confidant, my sister, was also my researcher. So she played many roles, and it was really helpful because she was so infused in what I was doing and supporting me. She also came to a lot of my big appointments with my specialist, and she would take notes for me of everything that was being said so that I could really concentrate on the interaction itself and making sure to answer or ask the questions that I needed to be asked. The other thing she helped me with was contacting specialists and helping me get appointments with the surgeons that I needed to see to avoid that overwhelm that I was telling you about in the beginning. Having a researcher on your team is an invaluable support tool. The fourth team member I would recommend to have in your corner is a breast cancer survivor, someone who has walked the journey before you and can give you some insights and some support as you take on your journey. At the beginning of my treatment, I was extremely blessed to be connected with the most amazing woman who had gone through treatment 2 years prior to me. Right away, she spoke to my heart like nobody else could. She made me feel less alone, and she truly understood the feelings that I was feeling without me having to really explain them. And it was so nice to have the perspective from someone who had already been through it, and knowing that there is life on the other side of breast cancer treatment. It was extremely helpful being able to talk to a breast cancer survivor and gain insights on the different decisions that I was needing to make and what it would feel and be and look like on the other side. So sometimes the specialists don't know exactly how it's going to feel within a person's body because they haven't been through it yet. So it was so beneficial to be able to check in with my warrior person, with my warrior woman, and ask her the real questions that real people have that only someone who had gone through it would really understand. The breast cancer community is one that I never expected to be enrolled in. However, throughout my journey, I've been extremely thankful to connect with a number of fighters that have gone through before me, that are going through at the same time as me, and who now are going through after me. And one of the things that I've really realized is that women in this community are so full of fire. They're so full of love, compassion, and resilience. I am honored to be standing alongside of so many other fierce women. So I realized that I was very lucky and that I had a person in my life that I could talk to about this. So I want you to know that that is the reason why I'm putting these videos out. This is such a key role to have in your journey. I want you to know that I am here for you if you need someone to help support you or just give a little bit of insight, answer some questions you may have, and give a little bit more of a personal perspective on the other side of treatment. To my breast cancer warrior, thank you from the bottom and the entire part of my heart for being just a text away all throughout my journey and beyond. You really have no idea how big of an impact you made for me in my journey, in my heart, and in the decisions I made. I am forever thankful. So thank you for giving your heart to me, your time to me, and just being there for me. I'm greatly appreciative. There were a lot of times during treatment where I just wanted to escape. I wanted to forget what I was going through, how I felt, that my life was on a completely different trajectory than I thought that it would be, and I wanted to just enjoy life. The fifth support role that I'm suggesting to have on your team is a person I am calling the uplifter. This is someone who 100% has your back and they're there for you no matter what. However, they're quite content with not talking about the heavy stuff. This person is a great person to have as your escape and reminder that life is still full of life. The uplifter is someone that you can delegate to plan small outings like going for a hike or a bike ride or a coffee, or they could be in charge of organizing little gatherings with friends or family, just things that you would typically do before your diagnosis that you really enjoyed, and they could help you infuse those into your life to remind you that there is more to life than treatment and you are a part of it. In my journey, the uplifter role was held by my brother. He is someone that makes me laugh. His lighthearted, fun attitude always picks me up, and I really appreciated him and everything that he did to keep my husband and I laughing and enjoying life throughout the treatment. Before we move on, let's do a recap. Here are the 5 key treatment team members to support you in your fight. Number 1, the primary caregiver, providing endless support, love, and encouragement. Number 2, the confidant, someone you can be 100% raw, honest, and real with. Number 3, the researcher, decreasing stress and overwhelm by handling the behind-the-scenes research, taking notes, and making calls. Number 4, the breast cancer warrior, someone who has walked the path before you, helps you feel less alone, and gives you insights into your journey. Number 5, the uplifter, providing an escape from cancer treatment, infusing lightheartedness into daily life, and planning fun outings. That is all I have for you today. I hope you found this helpful. Just a reminder that if you have any questions about treatments that you're going through, side effects, or what to expect moving forward in your journey, feel free to put a comment or a question in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to answer it for you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you would like to join me again next time, hit subscribe and the notifications button so you will be alerted when there's a new video. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful for you, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care, friends.